So we now have information about this whole pipe bomb thing. It's been about roughly 48 hours since we first started hearing about this, and that's usually the good window. Give it 48 hours before you say anything as in this is definitely true, or before you start making assumptions. Give it 48 hours to at least get the basics of the story out. And within 48 hours we have one suspect that was just arrested today. It's Friday at the time I'm recording this. The guy's name is Cesar Sayoc, or Cesar Sayoc. Cesar. I'm just going to call him Cesar. But what we know about him so far. So for one, remember, he is just a suspect. Like, we don't know too much about this guy. We don't know if this is the guy for sure. All we have, we have some pretty good evidence. We know that his DNA and fingerprints turned up on one of the pipe bombs and the packages that was sent. So that there is some good evidence. We know that he has a past history of calling in bomb threats. Apparently, I don't know exactly the details of the story either, or the story is either his power company cut off his power, so he called, or they threatened to cut off his power. Either way, it doesn't matter much, just a small difference, but he called up his power company and threatened to bomb them, saying it would be worse than 9/11. But yeah, so there's some good evidence there that it's him, but again, it's a suspect, so we can make assumptions, or we can predict that it's likely him. We can say it's probably him, but let's wait until we get an actual confirmation. Innocent until proven guilty and all that. But it's probably him. The story fits, at least, if it is him. But this, for the record, this is on Gab.ai. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to follow the story. This is my site. We're looking for submissions, so if you want to send something, and like opinion pieces and all that, just go to the submissions page up top here. But anyway, enough of that. Enough of self-advertising. But yeah, this guy that they've dubbed the MAGA bomber, which I'm just going to use it because that's what people are calling it, the MAGA bomber. The guy sent in 13 different pipe bombs to all like prominent left-wing officials, the Clintons, Obama, Cory Booker, Debbie Worcestershire sauce, George Soros, of course, James Clapper, Biden, John Brennan, and CNN. It looks like this is actually the picture of it here. To John Brennan, Time Warner, CNN, Kamala Harris, Maxine Waters, and Robert De Niro. Interesting choices. At the moment, there are 13. There could be more, but as far as we know, there are just 13 that we've caught so far in the mail and that. But yeah, what do we know about the guy? He's 56 years old. He's been arrested nearly a dozen times. One bomb threat was back in 2002. We found his fingerprints on the thing, on one of the bombs. Yeah, he's a registered Republican. You can tell a little bit that, based on the picture of his van down here, that he might, maybe, possibly be a fan of Trump. Who, maybe, quite possibly. We don't know for sure. But is this not the most stereotypical fan? I'm not saying it's like the stereotype's accurate. I'm just saying, does this not fit the stereotype of what you would expect? Again, like the caricature, if they were going to come up with a caricature of what a crazy right-winger was, this is that guy, apparently. And he apparently lives in Florida now. That's where they arrested him, in Florida. He apparently owns two businesses, the Native American Catering and Vending and Vertec AG. So if you live in Florida, maybe don't do business with those guys. Or that guy, maybe it's just him. But yeah, he appears to be a lone lunatic, obviously right-wing. And this is the point where I know I'm going to get a lot of attacks for this already. But the thing is, like, this guy seems to be a lone lunatic. Like, he was obviously influenced by the right, if you want to call it that. But you have to remember that they're all nutcases on pretty much every side. Like, for one, I voted for Trump. And this guy obviously does not represent me at all. I don't agree with him on much of anything because he thought it was okay to send people bombs, which, dear God, like, that seems to be step one of my one of my core principles is don't send people bombs. That's a bad thing. But again, with the YouTube shooter, like, someone actually tried and failed to shoot up a YouTube studio over demonetization. There's been free speech extremists, and of course, like, left-wing people too as well. The issue is when you start to attribute motive that it was, it's this side, it's this ideology that's pushing it. It's all down to numbers. That's what you're allowed to do. Because, again, if it turns out that it's roughly proportional, or it turns out that one person did something, okay, there's not much you can do about it. You can say, okay, they're going to be crazies no matter what ideology. These crazy people, and it seems like this guy's legitimately crazy. Like, he is the stereotype of unhinged lunatic right-winger. And again, not saying the stereotype is accurate or applies to everyone or anything. I hope that's obvious. But the guy seems to be pretty nutty, to say the least. So, yeah, this guy is clearly unhinged, lone wolf, from what I can tell. And I hope that everyone has already, like, at least taken a second before they say anything on it, or as they're saying things on it, taking a moment to say, yeah, this guy's nuts, I denounce him, obviously I don't agree with this at all. Because no doubt there's going to be people trying to spin it as, oh, this is just another instance of the incredible amount of right-wing terror. And I know I'll get people sending me the article, most terrorism has been caused by the right wing, which I've gone through that article I think I've gone through it in a video, I can't remember. But go through the article, it's basically false. They reach on a lot of things. There's a lot of things where you can't really guess the ideology. And they count things like some guy, there are things where they're not really related, like some guy got into a fight with his uncle and shot his uncle, or maybe it was his father. But anyway, look at the post. There's a lot of things where it's reaching, where ideology has nothing to do with it, and they really stretch the numbers. But anyway, I think this is the point where we can all, for one, just say this guy is nuts and bad, and nobody even remotely endorses him. And if someone does endorse him, maybe back away from that person, because we're not going to start endorsing sending bombs to people. And of course, I know the whole whether or not it actually counts as a bomb. Some people said it's meant to be a look-alike bomb. Other people said it's just the guy's just that dumb. It's a very badly made bomb, which I believe the latter. He just is very stupid and doesn't know how to make bombs. Which thank God that the guy is not only unhinged and willing to send bombs to people, but is also like that stupid, I guess, that he can't make one. So, and I'm not trying to say these things to be insulting. I'm just saying these seem to be like self-evident with this guy. I'm not trying to insult him by saying he's dumb. I think this guy is legitimately, by definition, stupid, like low IQ. So thank God he doesn't know how to make a bomb. Yeah, there's X-rays of the bombs they did, and again, can you actually call them bombs or not? Depending on how effective they are. It seems like it is kind of effective in that they have a chance of going off, but probably won't. They contain sulfur. It's a PVC pipe. They contain sulfur and shards of glass to act as shrapnel, so the sulfur is supposed to be the explosive. And from what I can tell, it's a very low-level explosive, so you'd need like a very hot heat source to be able to make it explode, and that probably wasn't there. Like, you need something that you probably can't buy normally, because it would count as something they know that's used to make bombs. So yeah, the guy sucks at bombs, basically, which, again, thank God. Of course, Trump came out and denounced it and said, yeah, this guy should go to jail, and I agree entirely. This guy should go to jail, never see the light of day ever again. But there's not that much to it. All I can say is with this thing, yeah, you have to look at the grand totals. Like, I'm someone that believes whenever there's an Islamic terrorist attack, I'm like, okay, another one. There is a problem with Islam because of the number of terrorist attacks. It's not because of the fact that they have one lone wolf or one terrorist attack. It's because they have a bunch. They have like a very significant number proportionate to their population. Of course, they're saying it's an ideology too. They're like, yes, it's my ideology that's doing this. I devote myself to ISIS and all that stuff. So that's the reason why we can say this about them, but not so much with right-wingers or left-wingers. It's all down to numbers. Like, if it turns out that one side, one ideology has 1% more violent people than the other, you can't make any conclusions. You can say, okay, that's what happens in reality. There are nutcases on all sides. The only time where you can really say, yeah, there's a problem with this ideology is when you get the mass killings, and it seems to be a very disproportionate amount of like violent people in it, which seems to be the case with quite a few ideologies. But yeah, I'm not defending this guy. I'm not defending his ideology. I'm just saying this guy seems to be an individual nutcase, and again, not being a very intelligent person. He probably doesn't understand what he actually believes. He just seems to be mad, like a very angry person. But yeah, hopefully he goes to jail. I can't think if there was anything else I'm going to say. All I can say is just keep looking at the information. Don't jump to conclusions. Oh, the conspiracy theorists, and I'm not using it as an insult. That's an actual, I guess that term that fits. The people that are saying this was a left-wing thing, this was a left-wing plot, there was no action, this was all faked. These were all fake bombs put up by the left, which obviously from what we can see now, if it turns out to be this guy, yeah, they were wrong. It turns out to be an actual guy that sent in the bombs. It wasn't, as far as we can tell, there was no conspiracy theory. However, I don't blame the people that believe that. The more I looked into it, the more I was leaning that way. And I wasn't sure either way. I was like 60-40. Like, I don't even know which one was the 60 and which one was the 40. But if it turned out to be a conspiracy theory, I wouldn't have been that surprised, honestly. I think there was evidence for that, how it seemed to be a bit like, okay, it's right before midterms. When are you going to do something crazy like that? Before midterms. It seemed to be all sent to like corporate Democrats and that. And it all seemed to be like these people could all orchestrate something together like that. It's entirely possible. And also, what was the other thing? Again, nobody got hurt. Which, if you're going to do something like that, you don't want anyone to get hurt like that. I don't think anyone's going to take a bullet for their own idea, for their own like corporate ideology here. So there was, I don't blame the people that thought that. What I do blame, actually, we'll wrap this up here. What I do blame are the people, which I've seen several people on social media and that, and some big name people too, say that there was a 0% chance that this was a right-winger, and it was definitely a conspiracy theory, 100% caused by the left. Well, obviously they were wrong, now that we have the information, but you didn't need the information to know that is definitely wrong. Like, if you're at that point where you're saying, okay, there is no way a right-winger would send in a bomb, or 13 bombs, to other people, you're wrong. Like, there's not much to say. You're wrong. Like, here we have evidence right here. There are people that do that. There are crazies on every side. Remember, the YouTube demonetization girl, the vegan girl that went nuts and tried and failed to shoot up people. There was the video gamer guy that lost I don't even know his name, which I guess is probably a good thing. The guy that lost the one professional game match and decided to shoot up the place because he was a man. Like, there's violent gamers, there's violent vegans, there's violent right-wingers left. Like, this can happen from any ideology. And the fact that people were saying there was no way this was a right-winger, it's like, okay, time to get out of your bubble. Because I know you're wrong about that. Like, we know this can happen to any ideology, with any ideology. There's always those nutcases that get attached to one ideology, whatever it is, and then they take it violent. They get stuck in their echo chambers and that, and that's usually that's what contributes to this, I think, is that people get stuck in their echo chambers. Because when you get in an echo chamber, everyone around you is telling you that these views are correct. You're not getting people that are questioning what you're saying, and you're not talking to people that disagree with you. You're not talking about the people that you think are the enemy, or you're not talking to the people that you think are the enemy. And the issue is when you're not talking to those people, when you're not saying, when you're not really having conversations with them, that's when you start to dehumanize them. That's when you start to say, okay, these people are evil, pure, satanical, like awful evil people. They are subhuman. They deserve to be killed. That's what being in an echo chamber does to you. And that's why I definitely have somewhat of an echo chamber. Like, everyone I talk to, not everyone of course, but the aggregate of everyone that I talk to leans right more than it leans left. It's not perfectly centrist, leans more libertarian, but no, I try to do my absolute best. And that's what I think a good message to take from this is get out of your own echo chamber, or you get people like this, an actual nutcase. But yeah, not much more to say to that. If there's any more information, I'll add it to the site. Remember that if you're watching this far in the future, that this is based on what I know on October 26, 2018. Could be more information since then. But like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more. And thanks for watching.